treat every pack as if you were going to pull a 1-of-1 superfractor of the biggest rookie card of that year. How's it going, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Wax Talk with Raw Mints. I'm Carlos.
And I'm Bruce.
And on today's episode, we're going to be talking to you about taking care of your cards. Some of the best practices and the things that we recommend to do to take care of your cards, how to properly store them, how to properly ship them, kind of our process on whenever we open up wax, and what we do to prep them for grading. Not so much how to, choose cards for grading, because we've already had an episode about that, but kind of what we do to be ready whenever we do open up some packs, and just kind of overall ways to take care of your cards and the best ways to keep your collection in a safe spot. But before we get into that, as always, if you could please be sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, rate, review. You know the drill. We really appreciate all of you listening each week. We see the numbers going up, and we know that's because you're tuning in. And so we hope to continue to provide useful information for you each week. If you have any suggestions, or if you have any topics or anything you want us to talk about, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram. That's @rawmints. Send us your questions, send us your feedback. Send us if you need any help with anything or making decisions. We're here for you as well. That's one of the main reasons why we started Raw Mints, was to be able to be a useful player in the hobby industry. So again, thank you again for taking the time to listen. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode. All right, man. Welcome back. So this week's episode, like I said, we're going to just kind of be talking generally, but also in specifics on how to properly take care of your cards, how to store them, how to properly ship them, how to just kind of treat these cards the best way that you can. And some of it's going to be probably common sense, but you'd be surprised. We've seen cards in the wrong size mags. We've seen cards in the wrong sized top loaders, and it's rough to see.
Or no penny
sleeves in the top loaders.
It's frustrating.
It's pretty frustrating, and we've also received our fair share of cards not protected in the mail. Both of us have. So we just kind of want to just have an episode topic about it, and maybe help out anybody that's looking for some advice on it. So my first question that I have for you: what is your process when it comes to opening wax or opening up sealed product? Like, what do you do whenever you're opening sealed product?
I think that the basics of that go for your, like any autos or parallels. You're going to want to immediately sleeve them. For me, it's also rookie cards. And I know probably a lot of people like the big rookies, like people are at least putting them in penny sleeves. For me, I think I follow the process of, like, if it is a rookie, I'm going to put it at least in the penny sleeve. And then I put it in a shoebox that goes away for however many years. And then I pull it back out, and hopefully somebody is good from that product or that year. But that's the biggest thing for me, is the colors, the parallels, anything that you feel is condition sensitive, even if it's a player that you like or it's a tough set. I mean, you might as well sleeve it, because it's going to offer at least a little bit more form of protection. One of the biggest things that I want you to talk about especially is the shipping process too, because I feel like, whether it's raw or graded, like any little scuff, anything that you do improperly can really affect the condition, and just at the end of the day, helps for an unsatisfied customer, which I think is important, is to let people know that you're serious about taking care of your own cards, let alone if you're going to sell them or trade them, whatever. I mean, people take note of condition that way. My overall process, though, is just to handle the cards carefully, especially when ripping packs. Most packs are super easy to rip open now, but still, I mean, most of the time we wear gloves, especially when we're dealing with like chrome cards where fingerprints and stuff can be put on the card. I think it's a good idea to have some sort of protection, at least worst case scenario, clean hands. but have penny sleeves ready, and at penny sleeves at the very least. And then we always shoot for card savers because we're hoping to pull those rookies or those parallels that we have the intent of grading at some point, which we've already talked about many times as far as the grading process goes. But this is just the overall way of how we go about handling our cards. And again, I want you to get into the process as far as like the shipping goes. But one thing that I want to know is also the way that you choose to display cards, which I think is very important, especially as a PC collector of whatever team or sport it may be. Just make sure that you're taking care of your cards that way. Like magnetics, I love magnetics. So the way that I go about using them is if I see a card that is off-centered or it's just like it's not going to grade well, I'll especially use a magnetic because I know I'm not going to grade that card. And even if you have a decent shaped card that you may grade at some point, the best advice that I would offer is if you're going to use a magnetic is putting your card in it, make sure it fits that holder, to the best of its ability, and maybe putting a penny sleeve on top of the card, especially if it's a chrome card, and then putting your top of the magnetic on it, and displaying your card that way, throw it in a team bag. Some people are very specific that way. I know that we are as well as far as graded cards. We don't want our slabs to have scuffs on them. We want them in a fresh team bag, even sometimes double team bag, just like weird ways to collect that way, but to us, it's aesthetically pleasing. So I feel like we just like our cards to look fresh that way, don't you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Anytime we get a sub back from PSA or wherever we choose to grade cards, you always want to make sure that you've got we prefer the
team bags, bro, regardless. You're always like, oh, I just picked up some cards, like I need some team bags. Or like if we have a sub about to pop, which we have literally soon, even after 3.5 years, we want to have those team bags on lock, dude. As soon as those, you get my slabs in first, and I'm just like, just team bag them,
right.
just protect them right away.
Right.
So I think that that's very important as far as keeping your cards in good condition. It's important.
It does vary too with products. Like if I'm opening cards, like you said, I personally like to put on some latex gloves just to avoid getting any sort of fingerprints on them or any sort of oils or anything from my hands on it, especially because I have learned the hard way. I've sent out cards for grading. I remember I sent off a super pristine looking Zion optic. I think it was a purple parallel. It was almost perfectly centered. The corners were sharp.
Yeah.
The edges were sharp. And I didn't even realize. I remember whenever I was sending it off, I was rushing because it was like one of the first submissions that I've ever sent off in being in the hobby. And it came back a PSA 9, which I thought for sure it was going to be a PSA 10. And it came back, and I examined the card because I wasn't upset, but I was like just kind of trying to figure out why it got a 9. And there was a very, very clear and distinctive fingerprint on the front of the card. And it could have been mine, it could have been the grader, who knows, but I want to say I'll take accountability for it. I want to say it was probably me whenever I was putting it in the penny sleeve and putting it in the card saver.
It could have even been me because we ripped a lot of the optic together, so my bad if that happened.
No, dude, I'm sure it was mine because I cleaned them off before I sent, but I think I might have just not been wearing gloves when I put it in the card, and it was a clear and distinct fingerprint.
But that was when we were ripping all that optic, and I want to say you pulled at least a base Scion, a base Jaw, a purple Zion, and like a blue Velocity Jaw, maybe something else, but I mean, just pulling heat after heat.
Right. That was a great ripping sesh, man. But that's one thing that I learned. I was like, damn, that should have been a 10. And I remember selling that card on eBay and just mentioning in the notes, like, there's a fingerprint on the card, probably one of the reasons why it got a PSA 9. There could be something else that I was missing, but I remember putting in the description, if you crack, just clean it and you'll probably get a PSA 10.
That person probably got a BGS 10, dude.
Right.
They just probably cleaned up that smudge, resubmitted. Dude, could have been. You never know.
But that was one lesson that I learned the hard way. And like now, anytime I open up any cards, I definitely have a pair of gloves on, and I have penny sleeves ready to go so that it can just go straight into the penny sleeve, straight into the card saver or the graded sleeve, and just packed away safely for our future grading submissions. And the process is different from cards and stickers, in my opinion. With cards, especially chrome cards, like I said, it's really easy to pick up any sort of dust or any sort of oils or anything like it. You probably want to carefully clean those smudges or whatnot with the microfiber cloth. But when it comes to stickers, I'm just ready to go. If I pull an Erling Haaland rookie sticker from maybe the Champions League box, or even a foosball box if I could even find those, or a Mo Salah from 2013 Champions League stickers, I'm just sending every single one off for grading. I don't care if it's super off-centered. The only time that I'm not sending it off if it's got a clear and distinct bend or a crease in the card. But even if the corners aren't pristine, I'm still sending it off because those are just easy decisions when it comes to that if they're the huge players. So I just have my penny sleeves and my card savers ready to go. As soon as I pull that sticker, I just put it in a penny sleeve and a card saver and just stack it up, just so that it's just straight from the pack, straight to PSA essentially, you know?
Yeah. And we're talking about like the most natural way to preserve your cards, but know that especially with different sets that you have all the odds against you. You know, as we've talked about before, that a card can be pristine, but it's got 8 centering. I've dealt with that before with the pink John Morant Optic rookie card. You have those natural factors against you, and then you get into the older stuff that you pick up. If you're picking up like 90s or just cards that you have those additional factors against you, you know, as far as like with Topps Chrome and color performance, obviously Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan rookie cards, they have the tendency that those sets in general for Topps Chrome have the tendency to green. You know, could that be because of a light factor or just the way the production was made? But you could spend your money on a box and you have all green cards, you know. So all we know at this point is to do the normal justice as far as sleeving the cards, you know, keeping them out of sunlight and cool climate. Those are very important things. You know, even if you're tucking, even if you have cards and you don't know what to do with them, just make sure that they're well protected. Because at some point when you go to get them out, you're going to at least want them in the best condition possible.
And when it comes to storing raw cards, again, if it's a player of significance, if it's a rookie card, if it's maybe somebody that you like, me personally, I like to sleeve them up, put them in a hard top loader, in like the normal size shoe boxes, which are they're pretty much just corrugated boxes that are the perfect size to fit the top loaders, and the height is pretty much a little bit of space from the lid for the top loaders. There's also another type of cardboard shoebox that is specifically for graded cards, and those are two very important things to have if you do have a large PC or if you do have a large collection of cards. And like straight up, man, like as soon as I get cards in from my mail days, from the pickups that I've had online or on eBay, I hope that they ship them properly, which they don't always. Like it happens more times than you'd think, where I've had a very expensive slab shipped, and it's just in a single bubble mailer. There's no team bag on it. There's no protective sleeve on it. There's no cardboard.
Most of the time, dude. It's like a 50-50. Like, do you think it's like at this point, like it's like 50-50, like you're either going to get something sleeved or protected or you're not? It's kind of how it feels anymore, especially when buying grading cards.
Right. I would love to say that it doesn't have that happen that often, but it definitely does. I think 50-50 is actually pretty smart. There's sellers that I've purchased from that are very good about how they ship your cards to you. But like I said, like regardless of how it comes in, I'm just kind of OCD when it comes to my cards. So if it comes in the oversized team bags, if it's a PSA card, I'll just slip it out of that bag and put it in a PSA sized sleeve and I put it in my PC graded boxes and just put it back in the closet. Like, I don't let them sit out. I don't let them, I like to just preserve them the best I can, put them in a dark, cool place.
And that's the only way, at this point, that's the only way we know how to preserve graded cards, because we don't know if the colors will change at some point. Like, the easiest advice that we can offer is just when it comes to your raw cards, because one reason I can think of is that if you have a raw card that you put in a penny sleeve in a top loader, with some other cards, you put them away, tuck them away in the box, they're well protected. Two reasons to go back from time to time to those cards. If you know how to handle your cards properly, it doesn't help to change out those penny sleeves from time to time. That's something good to do, you know what I mean? That way it keeps the cards fresh, especially if they're bigger cards that, you think are valuable or you may want to grade at some point. It doesn't hurt to, change out those penny sleeves and just keep the cards fresh. Another reason is it also gives you the incentive to go back to these cards and just enjoy your collection. Cards that you tucked away because for whatever reason you didn't want to handle them too much or damage them or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, going back to these cards, pulling them out, by that point you'll put them in fresh sleeves, be like, this card is a lot cleaner than I thought it was, maybe consider grading it. So it's a good way to also get back into the hobby for cards that you just tuck away for a while. Like, enjoy these cards, enjoy the portraits, the sets, the players, the teams, whatever it is. I think that's also something important to do, because we do it from time to time too. We have so many cards that we forget to enjoy sometimes, some of our favorite PC cards because we just tuck them away, but it's good to re-sleeve them, get in the habit of going through those cards, even with graded cards. It's been in a team bag for 4 years, throw a new team bag on it, enjoy that card. I think that's a good way of continuing on with the hobby.
And that's actually a really good point that you made, was to take the time to enjoy your PC, enjoy your collection. I know there for a while when I was I was really picking up a lot of cards for grading, a lot of slabs for investing purposes. They were just stacking up and piling up, and I never really took the time to really sort and appreciate. But that's another thing that I really enjoy, and I know that you really enjoy, is sorting cards. Putting cards in order of certain things, of teams.
If you have the time, it is very therapeutic. It's hard to find that time, but yeah, there's nothing better than, throwing on some music and sorting through cards. That's a good time.
Right. It's a huge stress reliever, in my opinion. And it's even a stress reliever if you have maybe a box that you picked up a lot of cards for investing, whether it's raw or graded, and it's a stress relief because you find cards that you should list, that you could list and make a flip on that you forgot about maybe. So that's also like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to list this. Like, what I usually do is I'll go through my graded slabs every now and then and just kind of resort and put them in order of products releases over the years and whatnot. And if I'm going through one of my graded boxes, I'll just go through and kind of reorganize. And sometimes I've been consolidating a lot lately just to try to kind of build up for savings, as well as maybe trade in some cards that I'm not that emotionally or sentimentally attached to for cards that I really want, or picking up some wax. So I'll just go through a graded box and I'll just put cards aside that I haven't thought about, and I was like, oh, I forgot about this and I don't have any attachment to. I'm going to list that. I'm going to just make some money today and just go through and just build up a stack, take the photos, put them on eBay, and just continue on and, build up that collection that way. That's kind of how I like to swap cards.
And let someone else enjoy the card, that you didn't have, you didn't enjoy as much. So you always hope that you're getting rid of cards that are going straight into someone's PC, or, if they make money off of it as well. I mean, that's what the hobby's about.
Right. And that's kind of a perfect transition into how to properly ship cards.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that I would love to end on for sure, man. I know you ship a lot of cards, and I want you to specifically talk about even the normal common sense that we talk about as far as shipping cards, and how you hope to receive cards, but the process of shipping raw cards as opposed to graded cards.
So I live in the Valley, and so anytime Bruce wants to flip cards on eBay, outside of the the shows that he goes to. He'll leave a stack of cards with me, or maybe even a box of cards with me, and we can go through every now and then and pull cards to the list. But I run most of the operation as far as selling cards on eBay. So if you purchase a card from us from Raw Mints Cards on eBay, that's coming out of my location and where I ship cards from.
Yeah, and you usually have like 4 boxes of mine, like at any given point,
Right.
like just of cards.
Exactly. So the process differences between shipping raw cards and graded cards is pretty simple for me. So I'll start with graded cards. Anytime I list a graded card, I have a box that I have of just all of our raw cards and all of our graded cards that we currently have listed on eBay. And I have them in my closet, but just easily accessible. But I have them ready to go and organized those boxes so I know exactly where to pull those cards whenever they sell. So when I'm shipping a graded card, this is pretty much the process that I use. And these are the things that I recommend picking up. Have brand new team bags, whether you prefer the PSA sized ones or just the larger kind of BGS and all around team bags ready to go for the graded cards. Another thing that I would suggest picking up is 3x5 index cards. Those are sleepers. They're super cheap. You can buy a pack of 100 for like 75 cents. And they're the exact same size as a PSA slab. Like they're slightly smaller than the slab, but not that much. So what I'll do is I'll pick out maybe like 4 to 6 of those 3x5 cards, the note cards that you can pick up for super cheap. And what I'll do is I'll insert 2 or 3 on the front of the slab and on the back of the slab inside of the team bag. So there's just a little extra added protection. Some people use cards to protect their cards. I know that people don't generally like to get a whole lot of junk in their stuff. So the 3x5 cards they fit perfectly in the sleeve against the slab. So I'll put about 2 or 3 as an extra layer of protection inside of the bag on top of this, on the front of the slab and the back of the slab. And I'll put in one of our Raw Mint stickers that I designed, and also our business card that has our podcast information on, and there's a QR code on it you can scan and be able to go straight to the podcast. So I'll put those in there as our advertising and kind of like a little giveaway kind of sticker. I'll put that in the team bag inside of the card. And the next step is, depending on how expensive the card is, I'll either have these cardboard pieces of cardboard that I will put on the front and the back of the slab, and then put them inside of the 4x6 bubble mailers that are actually almost perfect for a slab. They're really snug. They hold the graded cards real easily and tightly. They're a little bit longer, so you can just fold it over and make sure it's a really tight fit whenever you close the bubble mailer. So I will put that in a bubble mailer and close it as tight as possible up against the slab so that it doesn't move around a whole lot. And then I will put that in a bubble mailer that I received in the mail from somebody else. So I like to try to recycle as much as possible. So anytime I get like the oversized bubble mailers, like not so much the 4x6s, but maybe like the 8x10s or larger, I will put the card that's in the 4x6 bubble mailer inside of those reused mailers and fold it over. So that's that's another layer of protection for the slab, and tape it up and throw the shipping label on top of it. So there's multiple layers of protection. The first layer is those 3x5 note cards on the front and the back of the slab, the team bag that I throw it in, the cardboard slats on the front and the back of the slab. Then that goes into the 4x6 bubble mailer, and then that goes into a reused larger bubble mailer. So that's pretty much 5 layers of protection for that slab, for one single slab.
It's really just that common sense protection that you would only want to offer for your own cards. Realistically, I feel like you go that extra mile to ensure that protection, which is how it should be, especially for as cheap as supplies are to guard these cards. But it's the same thing in going specifically into shipping raw cards. At the bare minimum, I mean, regardless of, it makes no sense to throw a card in a top loader if it's not even in a penny sleeve. And we've dealt with that so many times,
Right.
dude. In a card saver, not such a big deal, especially if it's a paper card, but, just using that common sense as far as shipping goes, because you would want to receive, something, you don't want to have a card that's shaking around a lot. So if it's a raw card at the minimum, like I feel like if we've sold lots before, we're putting every card into a penny sleeve and at least a decent sized team bag, and then the protection on top of it. A lot of the times when we're shipping, though, it's usually going to be in a top loader or even in a card saver if we feel the card deserves that kind of importance that way, because that's how we would treat our own cards. There are certain cards that we at least want to have in a penny sleeve, maybe in a top loader, and if we think it's grade worthy, we want to have it in a card saver. So if we're going to ship cards out to people that we think, hey, this card might be gradable, we might throw it in a card saver just to help preserve that condition. So that's important to share with other people to get that idea, and that's just as far as paying it forward, because that's a way that we would want to store our own cards.
And I ship out my cards exactly how I would hope to receive them, and nothing less.
Exactly.
Like, we don't get that same in response, but just putting that out there in the hobby and putting that out there in circulation, maybe somebody might be inspired to, this is actually a much either more efficient or much easier way to protect cards when shipping. So when shipping a raw card, it's different. It's a different process, but this is the process that I take. So depending on how many cards you pick up at a time, let's just say if you picked up one raw card from us, I put that card is already going to be in a top loader more than likely, because that's how we protect our cards. So you're going to get, so you take the raw card, I put it in a penny sleeve. Like you said, depending on if it's something that we deem grade worthy or if it's or whatnot, I'll just put it in a top loader. It's a hard top loader. I will put the card that's in the penny sleeve in the top loader in a team bag that fits cards snugly, the smaller team bags. And I'll put our Raw Mint sticker and our podcast business card in there, and I will secure it tightly, snugly, so that there's no movement. This avoids having to put painter's tape on the top loader, which I don't usually do because there's just a lot that can go wrong. There's some people that will still put the painter's tape on top of the top loader and then put it in the team bag, but if you throw it in a team bag, I don't think that you have to put painter's tape on top of that top loader.
But if you're going to use tape, though, at least use
painter's tape. Do not use Scotch tape.
Because you can get some Scotch tape, dude.
Do not do that.
That happens a lot.
It does.
That happens a lot, and it sucks. It tears up the team bag, the just the overall integrity of everything.
It's not good, but I think a team bag is enough for that. And another thing is, again, I like to try to be as sustainable as I can when it comes to shipping and storing cards. So if I'm shipping a top card in a top loader, I want you to be able to have a brand new top loader so that you just keep it in the top loader because it's in great condition. There's no adhesive, there's no tape on it, so you can just not waste that top loader, and you can maybe even reuse it if you want to ship other cards out. So I put the card that's in the top loader in the team bag. I throw our sticker and our wax talk business card in there. I secure it snugly. Depending on the price point of the card, I'm going to use some more of those 3x5 note cards, and I'll just fold them over because they're going to be longer than the top loader. If it's a low dollar card, I'm just putting it in it's kind of like a thank you note size envelope. They're like the smaller, they fit cards perfectly. They fit raw cards perfectly. They're actually pretty much the exact same size as a graded sleeve or as a card saver, so you can use them with card savers and top loaders. So I put that team bagged card in an envelope, in a thank you card size envelope, and then I put that envelope in a bubble mailer and I send it off. So depending on if it's a high dollar card, I'm gonna wrap it in those 3x5 note cards on the outside of the team bag, and then put it in the envelope for just a little bit of a more added protection, and then I'll throw it in the bubble mailer. So the levels of protection are the penny sleeve, so that's 1, the top loader or card saver, so that's 2, the 3x5 note card, so that's 3, the envelope, so that's 4, and then the bubble mailer, so that's 5 levels of protection with a raw card.
Yeah, especially depending how big the card is. And it's really comes down to just common sense and just trying to offer that overall protection of the card. Because again, like some people just ship cards, they're not collectors, they don't care. But at the same time, I mean, we're collectors and we just want people to receive cards as we would hope to receive them. So that's very important.
Like I've said in the past, we don't really ever want to say that we're giving advice to people, because you just choose your own journey. You choose how to collect, you choose what you collect, you choose how you want to make your moves in the hobby. But this is probably the one time that I say I give the advice is when it comes to shipping your cards. This is something that people, like we said earlier, it's a 50-50 shot. It's going to come not protected at all, and and then there's a 50-50 shot that it's going to come protected, pretty much like how we like to protect our cards whenever we're sending them out. So my advice is to just treat other people's cards that you're shipping them to as if they're yours. Like, treat them, if you're shipping out a card, ship it how you'd like to receive it. Take even more precaution on it. Take more care of it, because it's not yours. You just sold it. Somebody just spent their hard-earned money on one of the cards that you had, whether it's graded or raw. People are spending their hard-earned money on this, and they should receive it in the best condition possible.
Someone's willing to spend their money on it. You want to ensure that it's at least in the condition that you have it in. You know, you don't want it to be lost in translation, or there gets a bent up corner, or anything could happen realistically. As far as, especially with us in Arizona, it's like when we get packages in the mail, we're hoping they're not sitting in the mailbox too long so that they melt. You know, so just treat it in every aspect that you know, as far as delivering a card in the best shape possible. Even whether you're a collector or not. I mean, if somebody is willing to spend money with you, I mean, you at least want to. It also helps reinsure business for yourself.
Right.
As far as, you know, gaining a customer or somebody that'll come back to you, because they know that you take care of your stuff and you're willing to, you know, ship things properly. I mean, all those little tiny things, you're willing to spend that extra shipping, these things that add up for yourself, but at the same time, they gain you more of a reputation that people know that you're taking care of what you have.
Right. And when it comes to listing cards on eBay, I know that we've talked about this before, but if it has a defect, if it has maybe a scratch on it, or a bummed corner, or a bummed edge, or anything that's like surface related that might not be easily distinguishable in photos, put it in the description. Like anytime I list a card that is not in mint condition, I put in the headline, read the description, and I go to the description and I'm very honest and very truthful, because it's about honesty in the hobby, man. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
It could just save you a hassle in the long run too, you know, because we're human and we may miss something that we sell, and then somebody's like, hey, I got this card and it has like a dent in the surface, whatever. I mean, there's human error like that. That is possible. But if you're willing to sell your cards, I mean, just examine them. Even if they're just a common card, you know, still take the time to at least ship them properly and examine them. That way, you know, if there's any flaw that you're aware of, and that way you can, you know, disclose that to whoever is willing to buy it. It's very important, and let them make that decision for themselves, because some people don't care, especially the older the card may be. They know it's going to have some flaws, but at least know, the certain things that whether it has some sort of like a dent in the card, or, just something a little bit more abnormal that they may be able to visualize in the picture. It makes a difference.
Right. And we care about our reputation in the hobby. We care about the perception of raw mints in the hobby. We wouldn't be doing this podcast if we didn't care about that. We wouldn't have our Instagram page if we didn't care about that. Like we care about it. We spend the time every single week producing content for the world and for all of our followers and people out there to enjoy and to check out. We spend the time on it, so we would not risk our reputation when it comes to shipping and selling cards. We don't want people to have a bad opinion of us if like, oh, these guys sold me a messed up card, or they shipped me a card and they didn't protect it properly. Like, no, like we're trying to put our best foot forward so that people know that they can trust us, because there's a lot of people that already trust our opinion, a lot of people that trust our second opinion if people are asking us questions. And we just want to make sure that people can also trust that they can purchase cards from us and trust that we're going to be taking the best care possible for them. Another thing that I'd like to add real quick is like you said, you mentioned earlier, we live in Arizona. It's hot. It's over 110 many days for weeks at a time. If you purchase a card from us during the summertime, whenever, the temperature is really hot, if you purchase either a raw or a graded card, just know that I'm not putting those cards in my mailbox, in my outdoors mailbox for pickup.
It has to go straight to the post office, dude. That's the only way.
Exactly. That's at night. I'll pack up any cards that I need to ship out the next morning or the morning of. And after I go to the gym in the morning, I'll stop at the post office and I will drop them off. Either I'll scan them in or I'll put them in their indoors facility to make sure that they're not sitting out in the 110 degree heat in my metal mailbox. Just know that I take that extra step because I know how hot it is. And if it's outside of the summertime, I'm okay with putting it in our outdoors mailbox. But during the summertime, man, just know that your cards are going straight to the post office. Whatever happens after that, I can't control. I can't control that, but just know that if you buy cards from us during the summertime, I take them directly to the post office to avoid any sort of heat exposure that I can control. So just know that.
Yeah. And just do your overall consideration that way. And that goes for even how you protect your own cards for your PC. I mean, just take note of those types of things, whether heat, humidity, light, any kind of exposure is a possibility. Just protect your cards that way, especially if you have the intent of selling some cards at some point. I mean, you want to keep them in the best condition possible, especially for us. It's like we're always thinking that at some point we're going to grade our cards, which we have so many subs out, but at the same time we have so many other cards that could be graded. So we want to preserve those cards. And if we sell them in the process while they're raw, then we just want to, pay it forward that way and make sure that those cards get to those people and that they can have the opportunity to grade them as well.
All right, so let's get into our pickups and flips of the week. So my pickup of the week this week is another soccer card. Surprise, surprise. But definitely taking advantage of the dips right now. That's what we recommend. That's what I've been doing. I picked up a 2016 Panini Select Marcus Rashford, card number 77. This is a blue prism, numbered to 299, PSA 9 rookie card. These parallels are beautiful. I love the blue selects. Anything blue, really. I picked this up for 120, and I think that's an absolute steal for a Marcus Rashford rookie card, true rookie card.
Anybody that isn't aware of that rookie card, at least look it up on eBay because it's a beautiful card for sure. My pickup of the week is going to be a raw card. It's from 2019-20 Panini Select NFL. This is the DK Metcalf rookie. This is the field level silver. These cards you just don't come by that often. Field levels are super tough to grade. So as far as talking about how we store our cards, this is in like a fairly big screw down with a penny sleeve on top of it, just because it looks really, really sick that way. And it's probably not gem worthy. I picked this card up for $70. Again, it's like if I would have found somebody that had a bunch of DK Metcalf graded same card, it might have been around the same price, maybe a little bit more, but it's just a card that I don't see that often. I like DK Metcalf. Not the biggest fan of the Seahawks. My wife is, but I do like
Shout out
DK
to Russell
Metcalf.
Wilson. He's a great guy.
Shout out to Russell Wilson, who's also a great quarterback. Shout out to my wife also. But DK Metcalf, dude, I mean, it's a field level silver. It's not a easy card. Like if I ever get this card again, I'll probably pick it up graded. This one just happened to fall in my lap, raw. So yeah, $70. It's fairly clean. So it's just kind of like a PC card though. So I'm happy about that.
Those field levels are the best in Select for sure. My flip of the week was kind of a long-term play, but kind of the way we do business when it comes to grading submissions. Last year, whenever we were able to get 2018 Donruss Soccer at a decent price, at a very, very decent price actually, I pulled this card straight from a pack. So realistically, the actual cost of the card is probably pennies on the dollar, maybe like 20 cents. $12 for grading is how much I paid for it pretty much. So let's just call it $13. And it's a 2018 Panini Donruss Optic, Timo Werner. That's card number 137. And it's just a base PSA 9. Like I said, I pretty much spent $13 on it, and I flipped it for $75. The pack pull to graded flip is my favorite kind of flip. What about you?
My flip of the week is going to be one of those times where you just kind of break even. I had a card that I picked up several months back from 2018 Topps Pro debut. This is a Ronald Acuna rookie. Not his first year of Topps Pro debut, which is 2017, which is more of like the prospect year, I guess you would call it. But 2018 is still a rookie year for him. I'd picked this card up for literally about $40 in an SGC 9.5 in the newer slab, obviously. I had this card at a show, and there was a kid that was really chasing around Ronald Acuna. He kept, asking me about the card, not like a valuable card or whatever. So I ended up just literally selling this card for $40. Just one of those things where you break even, you see somebody wants a card more than you did. So sometimes that happens, and it's not always about making like a profit on a card. Could have tried to get like $50 on it, but at the end of the day, I was just like, I'm in this card for $40. If you want this card, you want an actual rookie year Ronald Acuna. Topps Pro debut is kind of slept on, I feel like, to an extent. You got the minor league aspect of it, and just an overall cool looking card. Same design as the 2018 Topps, but that was my flip of the week as far as a break even. And at the end of the day, I still helped, a collector of Ronald Acuna grow his PC.
That's what it's about, man. So those are our pickups and flips of the week. All right. So how do you feel about today's topic? Do you think that there's anything that we should add to how to properly take care of and store and ship your cards?
No, I think it's just common sense. It like the biggest thing is when you open packs, there's going to be a lot of commons and stuff that may not mean anything or have any value. But as far as like, especially rookie cards or just players that you like or teams that you like, I mean, put them in sleeves, display them, in some way, put them in binders, just put them aside for a rainy day, because that's really what it comes down to as far as the hobby. So just protect the cards that you at least have interest in, or if you think that they may have potential value at some point, whether it be currently or several years down the line. I just think it's important to penny sleeve them. Worst case scenario, just offer some sort of protection.
And don't open packs with scissors.
Yeah, I almost mentioned that earlier. Panini Hoops, right?
Yep.
What rookie year was that?
It was 2019 Panini Hoops. It was probably like maybe the first or second box that I opened after getting into the hobby.
You were super new into it, and you're just like, are packs this tough to open? It's like, what are you using? Just like scissors.
Yeah, dude. I made a terrible, huge rookie mistake whenever I first got into the hobby about a year and a half ago, and I mean, I still had gloves on. At least you got to give me that. But I made a stupid mistake and opened a pack with scissors, and by doing that, I accidentally cut. I cut like a quarter of the card, just clear of the pack, just clear off.
Yeah, but now if you were to open a pack with scissors, it probably wouldn't be as bad. But yeah, that was definitely a learning lesson. Thankfully, there was nothing major in that pack. I do
No,
know that.
it was mostly just vets. I don't even remember what the rookie was, but it was like somebody that definitely wasn't on anybody's radar and is not even in the league anymore. But
Until next season.
oh, don't say that. But yeah, there's easy ways to open packs, especially these modern packs. We like to carefully open the packs from the bottom of the pack. It just seems easier.
I don't know. I feel like that's honestly more of like a soccer thing and hockey. I noticed like I've ripped a lot of upper deck hockey chasing young guns, and I feel like opening it from the bottom of the pack is better. I don't know. I think it just depends on the year and the product,
Right.
or however you're comfortable with it. Just don't use scissors, I guess.
Right.
At least on your first pack opening.
But it's just an overall message for the podcast, and the overall message for the episode is just anytime you open packs, whether it's cards or stickers, just treat every pack as if you were going to pull a one of one superfractor of the biggest
Yeah.
rookie card of that year. So just kind of treat every pack that same way, because you never know if that one of one, if that superfractor is in that pack. So kind of approach every pack that you open as if you could pull that one of one superfractor.
And do your best, because you might have a crappy box. And I've gotten to the point where like the first 10 packs, I'm like hoping for something. And then like the next 5 packs, I'm just ripping carelessly. Like I'm not going to pull anything in it. And then you can, so just be careful that way. Don't get discouraged.
That last pack magic. All right. So I think that kind of covers what we wanted to cover this episode. We hope that you learned something. We hope that this episode was useful to you. If you are those people out there that are sending cards out to people unprotected with Scotch tape on them, and this is you, it's okay. Everybody has those opportunities, those learning lessons, but we're telling you, please stop doing that.
I hope that reaches some people that never thought about it.
And I mean, if you're new to the hobby, it is what it is, but like, you got to treat other people's cards the way you'd want your cards to be treated. And that's just kind of the overall message that we try to preach. And we definitely practice in our business and within the hobby. So just do your best to protect your cards, preserve them, preserve your cards as if every card is worth grading. Like just take care of your cards, keep them in a cool, dry place, a dark place if possible, and just this is your PC, this is your personal collection, these are your cards. Just take good care of them. Keep them in a high spot just in case there's a potential flood or pipes burst in houses all the time. Keep them in a high spot so that they're not the first thing to touch that water. But just if you have really high dollar, we're talking big money cards, keep them in a safety deposit box, whether that's a fireproof box in your house or if that's at the bank. Protect your investments. If you're spending your hard-earned money on something, protect it the best that you can, however you can. So thank you again for listening to this week's episode. We plan to continue to do this, and we hope that you continue to enjoy it. So be sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, help us grow the podcast. If you enjoy it, I'm sure there's other people that could enjoy it as well. So this has been another episode of Wax Talk with Raw Mints. I'm Carlos.
And I'm Bruce.
Thank you for listening.